classic genre of the cinematic art, the horror film.
Yeah. Welcome to my show that I like to call sloppy. With so many whores, it's just hard to pick a topic. But I know some of you must feel just like me. Rather carve a pumpkin and decorate a tree. Come and have a look where every day is Halloween. A show for the killers that they call the sloppy.
Oh yeah, welcome to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Christian Ramey. And for all of you guys that are joining me, I very much thank you. And if this is your first time here, then I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys to subscribe. But big guest tonight, big episode, okay? I'm going to be coming at you guys live every Saturday. And there's no telling who might pop up. And tonight I am beyond excited because this is just a breath of fresh air when it comes to horror, okay? And that guest is David Howard Thornton. And that man is Art the Clown, as you know him. Hey, David.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
Good.
I'm going to go ahead and start off by saying, really, I do not pander much. I'm not saying I'm a tough critic, but I'm serious. You as Art the Clown has been I can't say breath of fresh air enough. I'm such a fan of old school slashers and characters. I love slasher characters. And man, when I saw Terrifier, my jaw dropped. I mean, it was really, I was excited about the movie. I can't tell you how many people I told about that movie.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So, I did a little looking into you, obviously, trying to see more of your background, and I saw a little bit of like theater and things like that, and I saw some voice acting, and I'm very much into that stuff as well. And do you think that's kind of what tied you in with art so well, is being able to do like theater and things of that kind of level?
Oh, definitely so, because, art's movements are more exaggerated, which is, more theatrical in a way, because that's the difference between, acting on screen versus acting on stage, is you have to be so much bigger with your movements because you have to be able to read out to the last row in the theater. Sometimes
Sure.
you have those big, huge theaters. So I'm used to doing that. So like when they needed me to do these big, huge, grand gestures and in the film, I was like, oh, that's no problem. I could do that. Yeah.
I mean, you really did. You knocked it out of the park. And
Thank you.
I myself, too, just to give you a little introduction, not only a horror fan, but I do haunt acting. So I've been scaring people for about 15 years in haunted houses with a pretty cool company. And like you said, with your mannerisms and things of that, it really does. It just plays off so well. And you could tell on screen that you've done that kind of thing before. So that being said, kind of non-horror, but if you had to recommend, or your favorite, I should say, your favorite theater production, could be a musical, could be anything, but if you were
Gosh.
if you can go to any, what would it be?
I would say Les Miserables. I love that.
Oh, that's a great answer, man.
That is like one of my favorites. I've seen it so many different times, and I always love it. It's just the music is so good. I would love to play Thénardier in that. I was like, oh, love that show.
As cliche as it may sound for my answer, I really do love Dracula. There's something about the theater presence of that. It's just I'll go to a high school theater production of Dracula.
Yeah.
People usually get really into it.
That would be a fun one to do. Yeah.
So, with that being said, with your style of method acting and the way that you carry out your mannerisms, the first film, All Hallows Eve. Now, I watched that one, and I'm not too familiar with the fellow who had played Art in that, but he did a very good job. He did it was awesome film. So when I saw Terrifier, absolutely noticed the difference. If you're familiar with the Friday the 13th series, it was like watching Friday the 13th Part 6 versus Part 7. And Kane Hodder stepped in Part 7, and he gave Jason a different life. When you watch a Kane Hodder Jason, you know that he's Jason. He just has a different... And I felt the same way with Art. You really embodied him. And, man, what a great time to have characters. Because nowadays things are very psychological or very technology-based. So I'm a huge fan of having characters. And I love the way that the film ended because I love no answers. I love that. I just love the way that goes.
It's fun that way. It's like so many of the older slashers were that way, where you didn't have the answers to what was actually going on. You didn't know what was the story of the villains, or like especially like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You at the ends, and you're like, who the frick are these people?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Speaking of Texas Chainsaw, I read Gunnar Hansen's book about the making of that Texas Chainsaw Confidentials. That was one of the craziest books I had ever read. He seemed like the only sober person on set, so he gave
Oh my
his
God.
account of it, and he as well. He was able to play such a character, but he said that he traveled to like mental hospitals and things like that, and he said that he helped out people with special needs for like 2 months, just trying to like learn from them. But he said, I didn't want to go there
Wow.
just to mock them, so he's like, I
Yeah,
went
yeah,
and helped
yeah.
them out. So I was like, wow, that's kind of neat, the different
Yeah,
things.
that's good.
Was there anything particular that once you found out you were going to be art, like say
hmm
leading up to a scene or anything like that, was there anything that you used to get you going, or
Yeah, yeah, I would basically like, I mean, oddly enough, I would sometimes play the it's a song from the first Batman film, Waltz to the Death,
oh
the
yeah,
yeah,
the
the
like
Joker's.
1989 Batman?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just something about that kind of puts me in that little mind frame of like, I'm gonna go just kill some people today. This is gonna be fun.
that's great, man. That's great.
Yeah, that helps me get in that mind space. I will sometimes do that if I need it. Most people don't even know I do that. I'll sometimes even not even have to play it. I just have it in my head and I can just listen to it in my head.
That
Crazy
be
as that sounds, it's like I have my own MP3 player up there, so I'll just do that.
For sure, man. You got to have that thing that snaps you into it. I mean, on a
Yeah.
smaller scale, doing it with haunting and scaring people. I absolutely agree. I usually take
hmm
that 2 to 3 minutes to kind of like, all right, you got to change.
Yeah.
You got to become
Yep.
something else.
Yep. That's how I am as an actor too. I was like, it's as long as I have some idea in my head of what something that will trigger me to get into the character, then I'm like, I can just turn it on, turn it off. I could just think for a second, like, okay, that's my trigger, and boom, I get to be the character.
Hell yeah, man. And that being said, talking about music, what was your first concert you ever went to?
Oh gosh, what was my John Denver?
I,
It was a John Denver concert because I was actually performed in it too. I was
wow,
it
he's a
was
legend,
yeah,
man.
yeah. He came to my hometown. I think I was in third grade. So that had to been like fall of 1988, and he wanted a children's choir, and so he they had auditions all throughout the city for, and our church's children's choir, he picked us, and so he brought us. We sang some Christmas songs with him on stage. And my aunt is deaf, and so we sang Silent Night, and I we taught. I got to teach John Denver how to sign Silent Night, and so all of us are signing Silent Night. That's hard to say.
That's
Signing Silent
signing
Night.
Silent Night. Yeah. That is
So
one of the coolest stories I've ever heard.
yeah, it was really cool, and he was also a big, huge NASA fan as well. He and my dad worked at NASA, and so
Whoa,
we
that's
my
badass.
oh yeah, my dad got a poster of like the space shuttle, and he got a few of the astronauts to sign it. Then all of us kids signed it as well for him, and I got to give it to John Denver, and it was pretty cool. So
How
that
cool.
was
I'm a big
yeah,
space nerd, dude. I love space. I'm
yeah.
sometimes when I think about it too much though, I have to stop because you just start to like, oh God.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Like when you realize how small we are on this planet compared to the vastness of the universe, it's just like it's like whoa. It's like makes me think of that Animaniacs song. It's like it's a great big universe, and we're all really puny. We're just tiny little specks about the size of Mickey Rooney.
You know, you actually just did that really well, and I actually did. I saw your one of your videos on YouTube of you doing impressions. You did a lot. I don't remember the number. It was like 100 something impressions in a very short time. That was
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it was nuts.
You know, that's a hard talent that not many people recognize. But how many times do you watch a animated movie? I mean, all the time. So
Oh
people really
yeah.
don't put that together. But it takes skill.
It really does. It really does. It's I always love going to like the credits at the end of animated films and seeing who all does the voices of stuff, or even on like animated shows. I've been recently watching the new Harley Quinn show, and the amount of characters that Alan Tudyk plays on there is just crazy. It's just like he's so good. He is so good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, that's why I wasn't too upset when I found out Mark Hamill was going to do the Chucky voice in that Child's Play. I was like, well, I mean, Mark Hamill's great, so if you need a maniacal voice, he's usually up in the top 10 when you think those kind of people.
Yeah, he recently did an episode of What We Do in the Shadows too, and it was just like I just heard the voice at first. I'm like, oh my God, it's Mark Hamill.
I think I saw something about that. That's a funny show.
Like, yes. Oh, I love that show. The creepy paper. I mean, we need the creepy paper. We're going to the superb owl party.
The first time my buddy showed that to me, because I was kind of late to it. My buddy showed that to me, and I was like, how have I never heard of this before? I mean, it's like vampires, brilliant. Super satirical. It's, I don't know. I loved it.
It's absolutely like that one episode where they dealt with vampire ghosts. That was where they're like, well, ghosts are dead people, so like they're like, well, technically we died, so we've got to have ghosts. So they summoned their ghosts of like their former self. They're hanging out with their former selves, the ghosts of their former self, and it's just Laszlo's character doesn't even understand English, so he's like, hey.
I would love to be a fly on the wall when they write their shit, write their episodes.
God. They've got to have so much fun on that show, because you can just tell there's so much playing around and just going with the flow with things.
On certain TV shows and movies like that, I would be a great horror actor. I would be a great serious actor, I feel, but I could never do comedy because I couldn't hold my shit together. I would laugh. I mean, I couldn't be in a show like that and not lose it myself.
I'm sure they go through so many takes.
Yeah, because a lot of times you'd be impressed. I mean, a lot of times with comedians, they just improv. They just go ahead, man. We'll give you a basic structure, and then you guys just go ahead. I can't. I'm not built for that. I'll lose it. Yeah. But I guess I'll segue into this. In today's day and age of horror, we're seeing a big, huge surge of Stephen King coming back, which I love Stephen King. I do. What about you? Are you a fan of his work?
Oh yeah, I'm currently reading Salem's Lot right now.
Wow, that's my top favorite Stephen King, and I am actually kind of excited the new movie's coming out because James Wan, he's got. If you're going to make a horror movie, James Wan has a large budget and production behind it, so I would really like to. I hope they do well because it's always been kind of a mini series and not a full length picture. So fingers crossed, man. Yeah,
also the other one I'm really excited about, The Stand, because that's like one of my favorite books of all time. I love that book. It's a long, long book, but I mean,
super long.
So good. It's so relevant to what's happening right now, too. I'm like, oh, yeah.
It really is. Now, I almost, I didn't put it all together, but, last couple years, I'm looking like, look at all these major blockbuster horror flicks. They're just Stephen King movies coming back. Yeah. And it's hard to film isn't that old. I mean, if you think about it, you go back to the 1920s, you're not dealing with much film before that. So if you think about Stephen King's influence over film in general, I mean, since the late 70s, 80s, I mean, he's really had so many stories. It's just very impressive. So kudos to him. Oh yeah,
he's almost his stories have almost occupied half the time the film has been around.
Yeah, that's wild.
When you think about it, that's like, whoa.
Super wild. Okay. Well, I'll step out of the horror realm, but this is a question I like to ask people. Okay? Breakfast Club. Everybody's familiar with the movie. What character would you most identify with if you were in the Breakfast Club? Who's your guy?
I would totally be Anthony Michael Hall's character.
Okay. That's a good answer.
Oh, yeah. I was totally like the nerd back in the day, so I'm like, yep, that's totally would have been me.
I was the total John Bender. Oh
yeah.
I stuck out. I was the outcast then. All right. High school was tough, but the adult years have been better. But that's always a funny question when I ask people, because I've had guys answer as I'd be Molly Ringwald's character. So that's always a different
Oh
dynamic.
yeah, I totally saw that movie. It's like, yep, I'm totally that. Yep, that's me. That is totally me.
So one question too, I have to ask every guest that comes on here, and as cliche and as scream-like as it sounds, what's your favorite scary movie? Which one
Sure.
has impacted you?
Showgirls. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Because that's a Scream reference there.
yeah, it is. Randy said it.
Scream. Yep.
He got snatched in the van.
Yeah, yeah. I don't actually have an absolute favorite because there are just so many good ones. But I like to say my top five are original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors,
Wow.
original Halloween, Exorcist, and The Omen. They're all so good in their own way and so different from each other as well.
Yeah, yeah, those are great answers. Those are like pillars in the horror world.
Yeah.
So my favorite would definitely probably go 1984, Nightmare on Elm Street. But like honestly, like those first, I mean, all of those movies super affected me. But
Yeah.
I watched A Nightmare on Elm Street at 6 years old, and then and here we are. Here we are.
Yeah.
But it really did. It just it changed me. Like the whole.
I seriously think Freddy Krueger is like the most creative like horror villain ever. I'm like that's a brilliant concept that Wes Craven came up there with that character because like you can all these other characters they're in the physical realm so you can run away from them. You have to sleep.
Yeah. There's nothing you can
have
do
to
about
sleep.
that. Honestly, too, he's like my spirit animal. If I was ever in that like firefighter moment where I had to run through the burning door, and I mean no pun with the with the burning with them, but if I had that moment, that's who I'm thinking of. Is that kind of he's so confident, and
Oh yeah.
I love all slashers, but that's something that drew me to art as well. Is I love the fact that confidence. I love when people aren't afraid, and not saying Jason or Michael were ever afraid, but at the same time they weren't pumped up, they weren't jazzed up either, so they just were who they were. And when you kind of maniacally, when you know what you're doing and you're fucking with me, I do not like that. And Freddy will come back and taunt your emotional scars, and the way that Art would tease around with that. I read an interview that you had did, I'm not sure who it was with, but you had mentioned Freddy Krueger kind of there was a little bit of him in there, and I totally agree.
Definitely. Hey, Art likes to play around with people. He likes to play with his food before he eats it. So,
I mean, I'm sure you've heard this from people too. I mean, obviously, I feel like it was a part of the making of the movie, but the whole time you're messing, with our main girl, and then when you pull that gun out and shoot her, no one was expecting that. That was such a WTF.
We knew that as soon as we filmed that night. We're like, we are going to piss off so many people. They're not going to see this part coming at all. They'll probably. I was like, someone's going to expect me to throw out like acid from like a flower or something like that, or a knife or something like that. But no one was expecting a pistol.
It gave him so much like integrity. He's just like, he was getting beat up too. You're going at it with her, and it's like, you're coming out with scratches too, and you're like, I don't need my gun. I'm still having fun. But then, you get to that one moment where you're like, you know what? Sit down.
It's like, we're done.
That's great, man. So obviously, with the craziness going on in the world, I know a lot of movie productions have been on hold. Has anything been affected as far as the new movie coming out?
Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit, because we were almost finished filming part 2 when we had to go in lockdown. Luckily, we finished like the biggest set piece that we have in the film the week before the lockdown. So that was the thing we were all stressing out about filming because there's so much that goes on in this scene, so many people involved in it, so many stunts, all that kind of stuff. So we got that filmed, and it looks amazing. I can't wait for everybody to see this scene. But after, I think I had maybe like 4 or 5 more days left on set, so we're finishing some kill scenes that Damien's had to build the prosthetics for and stuff like that. So we're going to do that, and then we have another a special guest that we're filming a scene for as well that I can't reveal yet. So that's going to be awesome. Very exciting too. Yeah, I'm very excited about filming with this person. So, but because of this, it's delayed us because we wanted to originally release in the fall. But, it's the whole thing having to edit everything and get it out.
Post-production, sure.
Yeah, all the post-production, having to deal with distribution, all that kind of stuff. seriously doubt we're now going to be able to get it out by the fall. So hopefully, I'm hoping early next year, if anything. But don't quote me on that because I have no control over it.
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
just spitballing here.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard to know, especially with the crazy
Yeah.
times too. So because there's nothing exact.
But we're not the only one. Everybody's in the same boat right now throughout the industry. It's just like everybody. I'm like, I saw that recently, like the CW, all of their shows that usually premiere in the fall, they're going to delay those until next year because of what's going on right now. It's like, yeah, they don't have time to film and everything right now and get them out by this fall. So I'm like, okay, good. We're not the only ones having to delay everything. Everybody's having to delay everything.
Yeah, and it's kind of, that way universally too. I mean, even with like say the sports world, because it's like, oh, well, if you delay baseball, then what happens if it's like, well, everything's on backlog. So yeah, it is such a wild time, but it's got like a common theme on my channel I do talk about is just the influence of horror, and like kind of where it came from, how you saw a lot of horror pop off after World War I, and then it just like, keeps going even to your Vietnam times, and then you get your Texas Chainsaws that pop up, and then your 9/11 kind of inspired like a lot of xenophobic kind of like hostile kind of things where we're fearful of areas where we're not comfortable with.
We're probably going to have some pandemic stuff now,
Yeah, and it's really wild because we've had such a precursor with all the zombie stuff, but it's like, I really want to know where this goes. I feel like there's going to be some writers somewhere because everybody's been stuck at home. So I've seen some amazing content from musicians and all kinds of people. Yeah. They ain't got nothing to do.
Yeah, it's giving people a reason to get creative now, which I think is a great idea. And I think we're actually going to see some great art come from this.
I agree. Pain and suffering, it definitely creates art. And, man, I don't know. I'm always with horror, we don't get a lot. We're chomping at the bits for things, but it's not, very rarely do you get a huge production like It come along. Yeah. Most films are underneath, and you got to scratch and claw to work your way up there. So honestly, with the Terrifier 2, I'm beyond excited. It was funny because a buddy of mine told me about it, and he's not a big horror guy, and he knows I am. He's like, oh, have you seen the Hallows Eve and the Terrifier? I saw him. I was like, what? And he showed me your picture, and I was like, I recognize that guy. And I went home and watched it. My girlfriend said, I'm going to go upstairs. You can watch it. And which was probably a good thing. She's not a horror nerd like I am. But, I mean, from the whole movie, front to back, and I watch a lot of horror. I mean, a lot of shitty horror, and I still am slightly entertained by it. That movie I was watching from front to end, and what a great ending. What a great ending.
Thank you. Well, I think you're going to be very happy with part 2 because we're building on everything that we know worked in the first one. We're not holding back on any of the stuff that people want to see, especially all the gore and violence. I think we're upping our game on that. I think we're even going further. We're pushing the envelope further with things. But then we're also, building on the things, improving on the things that, some of the criticisms that we did have. And so, we're especially plot-wise, this is going to be a lot more of a narrative film this time around because we've introduced Art. Now we need to introduce his rival, the protagonist to all this, the person that can actually go up against him. So we're introducing her character in this one, and she's an awesome character. I think people are going to love her.
Oh hell yeah, I do too, man. I do too. I love that independent horror, and I love that. Guys like you can definitely make your way up there. And honestly, once you said that you were going to come onto the show, I mean, I had all these people reaching out of the woodwork saying like, I love that movie. Are you serious? And it's like, yeah, man.
Sweet.
And, when I brought you on here, it's like, I don't know, I've seen a lot of horror-style channels and shows, and I like a lot of them, but I really like to know who you are as a person, so that's why I kind of ask the broad questions, and that's what I want to know. I want to know.
I like it.
Yeah. All right.
I get a lot of the same questions all the time, so it's nice having these new ones. I'm like, oh, yay.
Yeah. Okay, well, here, I got to throw this out there, too.
All right.
Are you an animal person? And if you are, cat or dog person?
Now, see, we have a cat living in my current apartment, but I'm more of a dog person. It's just there's something about dogs. It's just like when you come home, they're just so freaking happy to see you. They're just like, oh my god, you're away for maybe 5 minutes, and you come back, they're just like, oh my god, I love you so much. And there's something about dogs. I don't know. It's just like they love to snuggle,
They do.
and all that. There's just like, cats do their own thing.
Yeah, cats are real hit or miss. There's like no one
Yeah.
cat that's the same. They all got their own little personality,
Yeah.
man.
They're not dependent on you. Like there's something like this like dependency that you have with a dog, and it's like that codependency in some ways too. Where like, yeah, he watches out for you, he'll protect you, but at the same time you're watching out for him. So it's like that whole like simpatico thing going on there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I got one of each, so I'm,
Yeah.
one of each. Now that I got your animal situation worked out, I guess a question also I really do like to ask people, so I don't forget this. If you had a favorite, okay, this could be two-part, a favorite horror director and then a favorite director of all time, who would that be?
Oh wow, favorite horror director? I would say it would be Wes Craven.
Me as well.
I think he would have been just fantastic to work with. I mean, I know Damien especially is a huge fan of Wes's. He even had a tribute to him at the end of Terrifier, all that. But it's like I think Wes would have been, because I think he had such a brilliant mind when it came to concepts. Mm-hmm. He thought way outside of the box with things. He was very creative. So he would have been fun. Now, director-wise, that's an even harder one because there's so many good ones. Like Guillermo del Toro, I think would be a really cool guy to work with. Tim Burton would be a lot of fun as well. Steven Spielberg, of course. Just like I would say those
I like
three.
Scorsese as well. I'm a
Scorsese too, yeah.
There's just something about the Italian New York guy that I could do so well. Yeah. Man, those movies are so easy to get into. Yeah. I watched all those movies, 1, 2, 3 of them, all of them.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Horror-wise, I'm definitely going Wes as well. He, it was, I mean, not that I don't like foreign horror, but the way he had like an all-American girl next door, guy next door kind of horror. He wasn't, it was like Midwestern kids. I mean, his movies were shot in California, but supposed to be Midwestern kids. And like if you notice, there's a lot of ties that he had, like, say Scream, the boyfriend's coming up to the window, then you got Johnny Depp in A Nightmare on Elm Street doing the same. He really plays on like that adolescent overcoming adversity, and I really appreciate what that hit with his films.
It was relatable.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever get a chance to see the Red Eye movie that he made?
Red Eye, yeah. That was with Cillian Murphy, right?
Yeah. That's kind of a sleeper, but that one was really good too. I mean, just kind of the girl next door, her and her dad overcoming the bad guy. I loved it.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good one.
Even Your Last House on the Left, the parents stepping up to take down the killers. It's not, I don't want to say it's a family movie, but in the same light, like as a mom and a dad, you can kind of toast, oh yeah, we just took out our daughters,
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Gotta love it.
That's great, man. Well, hell yeah. I won't take up too much of your time. I kind of been liking to stay up in this half an hour window, but David, I really appreciate you for stopping by and talking with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, seriously. Anytime, you're more than welcome. All of us will be super excited to see that new movie. So, hell yeah, man. Don't be a stranger. Good luck to you. I hope that you guys can get back there and start filming like right now.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Damien just the other day about all that, and so it looks like they're starting to open up parts of upstate New York and stuff like that where we were filming anyway. So hopefully that means we can start getting back to filming sometime in mid-June. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, I obviously hear what things were wild up there in New York as well, like the city. So that's cool to hear about the other parts as too. Well, hell yeah, man. Well, you enjoy your night, you enjoy your weekend. I'm sure we'll hear from you soon. All
right.
Well, until Terrifier 2, you take it easy, man. And for all of you guys out there watching the Sloppy Horror Podcast, I appreciate you guys, and I'm out. See you guys.